everyone, it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets and welcome to another sketch challenge video. So this week's sketch challenge comes to you from MFT and it's sketch number 474. And as you can see from the drawing, there are a lot of circles or bubbles in the background. And I wanted to use my MFT stencil called Basic Shapes Circles to create the background for this with some Distress Oxides. Now, my intention here was to take the Distress Oxide on craft cardstock and go heavier on the outside and make the middle a little bit lighter. And I achieved that look with the very first bubble or circle that I did, and I used Distress Oxide in Candied Apple and got the desired effect. However, when I started to do some of the other circles, I was using either the wrong size brush or like this brush that I use next. It had another color of Distress Oxide on it or Distress ink on it, and it didn't come out the color that I thought it was, and I kind of messed up on the second circle. So from there, I just kind of did whatever the brush would let me do. So some of them are lighter in the center and darker on the outsides, and other ones just don't have that effect, just like that one. Now that one looks a little brown because I believe I had some black soot distress ink on there, and it wasn't cleaned off too well. A good note here is to make sure that your microfiber cloth, if you're using one or whatever you're using, is clean when you go to wipe your brushes off. As you could see from the last shot, that my microfiber cloth from Norwex is not really clean, and I need to wash it and find my other one because I have so much ink on there and I don't think it's cleaning off the brushes as well, which is causing me to kind of contaminate my colors on the project. So anyway, we're going to keep going. The colors of Distress Oxide that I'm using for this project today are Candied Apple, Carved Pumpkin, Ripe Persimmon, Fossilized Amber, Twisted Citron, and Salty Ocean. If you can count the circles in the sketch, you'll see that I have less colors of Distress Oxide than I do bubbles or circles. So some of those colors are going to be on there twice, or some of them are going to be mixed with another color. I tried to do a little bit of blending too, but with the Distress Oxides, you can put down a layer of color, like I am here. I'm putting down some Fossilized Amber, and then, that one is some Carved Pumpkin. And then when I go to put the Fossilized Amber on top of it, it goes over it really, really well. It makes the Fossilized Amber a little bit darker, but it gives a different effect on craft cardstock than it would on white cardstock. I feel like in white cardstock it blends a little bit better, but this really shows the Fossilized Amber on top of the Carved Pumpkin. So it gives it a really nice effect, and it's a little bit different than if you were using Distress inks or even Distress Oxides on white cardstock. So I like the effect on craft. If you guys haven't tried craft with Distress Oxide, I highly recommend you try it out because it gives a different look. So here you go, I'm putting the Fossilized Amber on top of it, and in the end result you can see that the Fossilized Amber sits on top of it. So I was just trying to figure out what size circle would look best and most represent the circles in the sketch that I drew out. I don't know if my circles are proportional to the way that the sketch is, but I drew it out the best that I could, and I did the placement the best that I could. So again, I'm just picking up different colors of makeup brushes, and this one was a little bit too big for the size circle that I had for the red. It was good for the first circle, but that one was a little bit too big. But again, I wanted to add a little bit of the Candied Apple down at the bottom because, again, I didn't pull out enough colors. I didn't think about it. I was thinking I was going to be able to blend a little bit more, but that's what always happens. I don't pick out the appropriate supplies, and then I just kind of make do with what I have. So we're going to finish up with the last couple of circles here with the Twisted Citron and Salty Ocean. We're going to kind of go back and forth. I do a little Twisted Citron circle, but then go back over it with Salty Ocean. So it has a little bit of green around the bottom of the circle, but then at the top it has a little bit more blue. And then once I'm finished all of that, after I've done all of my colors, I decided that I wanted a piece of white cardstock to go down the side. But when I held it up next to the craft cardstock, it really, really stood out. So I wanted to do kind of a rainbow color down the side of it. And so I took my brushes that I used for all the other colors, and I went through and I blended everything out. So let's go back to the circles. You saw that I had a brush that was way too big for that blue circle, and I actually got some Distress ink or Distress Oxide where I didn't want it. So there you go, I'm going over that little green dot that was Twisted Citron with Salty Ocean. Let's see, there I took the white piece of cardstock and I realized that it makes it stand out way too much. On the sketch there is a little banner on the side, and I decided to take the colors of Distress Oxide and just go up the piece of paper. The problem with this was I didn't know how large the paper was, so I didn't know if I was putting too much blue on there or not enough blue, and I was going to run out of room. The top would just be white. So I decided to put it up to the card base and then cut the card base after I put a couple of colors down, just so that I can make sure that I had the appropriate amount of colors on there and it wasn't disproportionate. So I'm going to keep blending a little bit. I did Salty Ocean first, then I did Twisted Citron, and then I went back in with Fossilized Amber, and then I think this is when I realized that, yes, I probably should. Yep, this is where I realized that I should put it up against the top and then take my Tim Holtz scissors, tonic scissors, and cut that piece off. And sorry that I did that off camera, but I'm trying to focus the camera down more on my desk, and hopefully you guys can see the project a little bit better. So I went back in with some more Fossilized Amber and just tried to get those colors to blend a little bit better. I'm just trying to find the brush. I have makeup brushes all over the place. I'm going to have to scrub my makeup brushes now and get all of the colors off of them. I think I might actually wash them tonight and let them dry overnight, give them like a good rinsing out. And so I am using, I believe that one is Ripe Persimmon, and then when I went in with some Carved Pumpkin, I can't remember which one I used first, and then I went back in with Candied Apple at the very top and then had a nice rainbow blend going on there. It's very easy to do. Try to tap off your brush before you go to the paper, and it'll give you a better blend because there's not so much intense color on there and you won't get those harsh lines. Always make sure to wipe off your surface. I've learned that the hard way, that I've ruined projects. I'm using my ATG gun to put tape on there, tape that down. I messed up the first time. I had to take it off. I got a little wonky and crooked there and couldn't fix it, so I had to take it off, place that back on there, and then I cut a piece of cardstock. It's 1/4 inch wide, and I believe it was 5.5 inches long. I cut a little banner into it, and if you don't know how to do that, you cut a slit up the middle, and then from the corner to the slit, you cut from the left side and then from the right side, and that gives you a nice banner. And I used the Well Hello sentiment from MFT's Greetings and Salutations. They're very tiny little greetings. And I used the Gina K Designs amalgam ink to stamp that out. It's the first time I've ever stamped it, but it did stamp pretty well. And then I just put some ATG on the back of it to glue it to the front of the card. So it almost looks like it's a 1-layer card. It's very, very light. And then I just trimmed off the excess. Took a piece of the same cardstock and folded it in half and took some ATG and put it on the back and put the card together. I didn't put anything on the inside yet, but that's the end of the card. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below. And I will see you guys again real soon for another video. Thanks for watching. Bye!